Hello and welcome back to Actual Play Stars That Number. We're back and we're on the ship. And we're gonna get the heck out of here. Jay, I want to describe the ship, but there are so many visual details that matter to me that I want to I feel like I need to parse it out. So I'm gonna give like three short ones, and then we can keep on elaborating. But here's my three short visual details. Hope is running to get to the get to the helm. Her quarters are all curved and segmented like a centipede. As she's running, she looks out, and we can see this like open expanse, and we watch light retreating backwards because because the gravitational pull is so strong that it's pulling light back into it from outside. And as she gets to the helm, we see the spike drive is not named unironically. She actually like inserts herself like into this like thing like Batman in the Batmobile from Dark Knight, I think, where like kind of like goes in and like she like dives into it and like has her hands and then we see these like six two like injection points like stick into the side of both of her head, like on all the, like where those where she previously just plugged the combat into one, like all six are activated, and her eyes kind of roll back a little bit as she like gets ready to pilot this thing. So that's my visual details. Anyone else is welcome to add more, but like
That is
I have
awesome.
so
That
many
is
thoughts about
fantastic.
this ship, but that's just a couple.
Now, when we talked about this ship, we talked about it being a mining ship. This is what they use to
Yes.
mine from the black hole, right?
Yep. Exactly.
How'd you get this ship?
Oh, I stole it. Um, yeah. I was originally gonna be like, oh, I left peaceably. But no, Hope learned about this station and learned about what was on it, and found out by overhearing, by using her precog abilities in ways that was not meant to be, by overhearing some of the Muckety Mucks about their plans, and she decided that this station, if it fell into the hands of Iardos, would be very bad. So she realized, maybe through precognition, maybe through intuition, maybe through who knows what, the only way to do anything about it was to get it first, to shoot first, and uh, so uh, she flew out, but she thought she broke the transponder on it so that nobody could detect it coming, and now was maybe having second get thoughts about that. But yeah, this is stolen from the Irdos faction.
I think Timothy probably does comms, maybe diagnostics. Maybe that's his station on the ship. What
Yeah.
does Dartha do?
There's roles in the ship. There's roles in the game. Let me pull them
There
up real quick.
is.
Yeah. I mean, you don't have to necessarily do one of these, but there is definitely like, when people are on a ship, how do you do, what's it like? There's captain, there's pilot, there's comms, there's gunnery, and I don't know if there's more, but those are the ones I remember.
I mean, we know Raven's going to go into gunnery, right?
Totally.
Like, I think.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I think, there's these different little stations, and we're seeing people plug into them in these fantastic ways and stuff. I think even before you get on the bridge, Timothy's there. Like when I'm like spin up the ship and then, struggle at the door. And then like I go over to Timothy, and Timothy's like freaking out, right? He's like, I don't know if I know how to drive it. I don't know. Like, he's doing this whole thing. And I look up and I see that you guys have just kind of gotten in through the hatch, right? Through the umbilical hatch. And I'm like, get out of the way. And, and that's when you kind of like run in and do your thing. But I just kind of take a step back, and there's, I think there's like a captain chair kind of in the back, but I don't go and sit in that. I think I just kind of like straddle this little kind of like center area of the bridge, and I have 3 pseudopod legs and 3 pseudopod arms that just kind of go out in 3 different directions and grab onto things. And like, I'm just stable now. I'm like this blob circle, being held in place. and I think I'm going to be the captain of the ship.
Yeah, yeah.
I think the first thing that Atlas does, because he has not been on this ship before, is Hope is running off and is going straight towards like the pilot's position.
Right.
Atlas is going to turn to the second most powerful person on this ship, I guess, or the most powerful person on the ship, Dartha, and ask like, where do I go? Like, where do you need me?
And I just kind of point at the chair. It is the captain's chair. I'm like, strap in there. Like, not even a second thought.
Okay, I'm in the captain's chair. That does not make me the captain.
Nice.
Mechanically, I just want to throw out that the 5 actions, the 5 roles are bridge, which is what Hope is doing. It's piloting. Captain, which is coordinating people. Comms, which is I think what we said Timothy is doing. Engineering, which is controlling the engines and giving power and whatnot. And gunnery. So those are the... And on a mining ship, gunnery is more like activating the drills, using the mining lasers, but it's, still relevant.
Right. So I think everyone's in their roles, in their places. The ship is disengaging from the station.
Yeah.
Everybody's ready to take off. Atlas gets a broadcast. It could be whatever passes for Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, whatever. Only Atlas gets the broadcast. No one else is aware or hears it. The voice is the voice is gender neutral, but it's smooth. It is instructional, right? And the voice says, Kennel Cerebus 03, designate Atlas. Good luck. Good hunting. And that's it. That's the end of the transmission.
Do I recognize what any of that would mean?
You know who Atlas is.
Well, yeah. Nothing else.
What's the last memory you have before these folks found you?
Well, that's a good question. I think I was on the station with a faction of humans trying to make a deal with them because in my former life, I contracted out and worked mostly as a merchant doing administrative work and transporting high value goods, which is why I was armed. So I was doing some sort of work with either bringing something valuable to the station or taking something valuable off the station. And then the scream happened, which destroyed all people with telepathic abilities. Oh, thank you for putting that in the chat. And I fell asleep and have been dreaming since then. And I'm still trying to get my bearings and figure out what has happened in the meantime.
I typed that message out and I stuck it in the chat, so you have it.
Thank you.
For infinity. But that's what the voice says. Hades Kennel, Cerebus 3, Cerebus 03, designate Atlas. Goodbye and good hunting. Cool. And then the ship, what's it look like when it's taken off from the station?
Like a octopus, like poofing out. So we didn't really see how the umbilical worked, but imagine the belly of the octopus having lots of things hanging down from it. Some of them being like mining lasers and tentacles and things like that. But in the center, this hatch that we, the umbilical came through. And so when it comes off, it's like it doesn't shoot out. It bulks up, it like bulges as the tentacles kind of like flare out and then pushes away and like poof, like you'd push off the wall of a swimming pool. But instead of it being, your hands and legs, it's 8 of these incredible, multi-headed, multifaceted pseudopods that fling off of the base and they all at the ends you can see that like they have these adjustable ends where they could be drills or scoopers or clamps or whatnot. But like right now they're in they're in like suction pseudopod form. Like that's the attachment that's on the end of them right now. And so like those push off and then like retract. And as it goes from really big and wide and it poofs out. And as we get the momentum, it all sleeks, it all like slender. So all the tentacles trail behind. And once they're all locked in place, that's when we see around the circle, around the edge of the body, around the edge of this or the circular head. That's when the spike drive starts flaring up. So we had like impulse power, but now like we see like the engines like roaring and all the tentacles are sleeked back to clear away from the path of this octopus ship that we have called Squidly.
Squidly, that is awesome. All right, we're just down to the spike drive test. Anyone have anything they want to do before we drill down?
I assume that we are not encountering anything like that. Like people on the station are taking actions, but it's not. Are we getting out of there faster than they?
Yes. You're leaving the station faster than they can mount a response into space. And because you're in the black hole, right, it's not like they can just launch out and start engaging you in the black hole. That's not something anybody wants to do.
No, it's a terrible idea. It's a terrible idea.
It's a terrible idea.
Yeah, and I think we're about to go, and then I'm like, crap, gotta double back. As we see the terrors of the black hole, which is a grav blade coming at us from the wrong way, and we have to like retriangulate, go right into it before we can like bolt out, because you can't let a black hole grav blade hit you from the side. It'll shear the whole ship apart. So yeah, I'm ready to make a pilot roll.
Yes, you are.
To blast us out of here.
The base difficulty for Spike Drill is 7.
Yes.
We're traveling just one jump from here. Amar is only one star away.
Yeah, I don't think that adds any.
No, so your difficulty will be 7.
I think it's +2 because I'm rushing it though. Right.
Perfect.
Spike drives
Yeah.
take a little time to
it takes 30 minutes to do the nav calculations.
All right. So I'm gonna be.
Are you doing like precog shit during this? Is that always?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think in the background we do see like some of the other crew like asking Dartha a question, and Dartha's like not hearing them and is totally focused on you.
Yeah. I just added this in as flavor, but that is exactly these grav blades that come at any time is exactly why only precogs can do this, because you have to be able to predict the grav blade shear force before it hits so that you can fire the spike drive directly into it, right? Like that's my fiction that I wrapped around why we're there. So so the squid, kind of like in Matrix, the Sentinels, like it goes and then it has to tweak on a dime. Cool. So now's when I'm gonna do something really cheeky, which is I'm gonna roll my pilot. I think it's plus int, or is it plus dex?
Plus dex.
Okay. Dex. Roll. Oh, I got a 9, which I think hits it, right? That was
that does. Yeah,
okay.
7 plus the 2s, yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
My cheeky response was, "Oh, but I can't fail a roll under 10 because I am a star cruiser. I'm a starfarer, so I automatically succeed on spike drive rolls of 10 or lower."
That is funny. That's nice.
Yeah, that's my focus. That's my foci.
That is nice.
So yeah, we're out of here.
So the travel will be, I think it's 3 days, 6, 2. Yeah, it's 3 days that you travel on the spike drive until you reach Amar. That gives us 3 days to unwind, talk, and figure out who Atlas is.
Maybe I can get everyone to stop being so freaked out by me.
Yeah.
And figure out why everyone is so freaked out in the first place.
So I think in the 3 days, and we can jump around in the 3 day period that we're traveling.
Yeah.
Raven early on gives Atlas wide berth. I think from Raven's perspective, we're doing this recon mission on this pre-tech vault, and we find this human. How do we find Atlas? Which state do we find Atlas in?
I think that I am like in the rubble of a sector that has kind of fallen apart over time.
Mhm.
But you can tell, and I'm unconscious, and you can tell that whatever rendered me unconscious was not the decay or the like collapsing of the sector of the space station, but was something before that.
Right.
And then I'm unhurt by whatever debris may be around me. And I am sort of in a very like awkward and uncomfortable sitting position, but I look like an unconscious human, except it's very unlikely that there's a significant human presence on the station. At the time that you found me, you were unaware of any other humans aboard.
Right. Right.
So there's the sort of issue of where did I come from? How long have I been here? Which I can see a lot of skepticism coming from, of not knowing like what the circumstances are. And then I imagine that.
Sorry, can we also add that you also happen to be like, we're seeing you in this place, the everything's falling apart. Also, it's the vacuum of space. Is that cool? If like,
yes, let's add that. So it's also
that's perfect.
Raven is maybe the one who comes to you and she's wearing her vac suit.
Right.
Like, this isn't like there isn't oxygen here, but you're just like this human sitting there in this like.
Right.
And I'm just like unconscious, my limbs all like splayed out. And I look like pretty unharmed aside from probably having fallen when I passed out, which I think makes it rather easy to determine that I'm some sort of transhuman using some sort of modified body.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know how much detail you want me to get into.
Oh, no. So I was trying to figure out where does her apprehension come from. And I think you and Tomes colored it in that when we found you, you were in the vacuum of space in one of the corridors or rooms. And Raven saw that because Raven's in a vac suit, right? Knows that she needs it because there's no air and it's a vacuum. And you wake up, right?
Yeah.
And that's totally not right. So I think that makes her right. That makes her apprehensive at that point, without knowing who or what you are. I think Timothy would get his, since he's the biomed guy, would run scanners, diagnostics on you, and we could talk about if he can find anything or not, because you're pre-tech and he's using stuff that's older. I don't know if he'd find out anything or what might he discover, but he would share it with everybody.
Yeah. I think he wouldn't find anything conclusive, would be able to identify that I'm transhuman using a modified body, but my body is like outdated to present standards for modified bodies. But I think because there are very few true AI, he wouldn't necessarily be equipped to identify one, or wouldn't have been one previously.
Do you think he knows how old your body is? Do you think he can like carbon date it, or do you think it's just like inconclusive? Like,
excellent. That's where I was going.
Maybe that's not even a thing he would look for. Like maybe like how old is this person? Well, I don't know. They look what 20, 30? Assuming that's.
I feel like he would look at me and be like, "Oh, mid-20s." I don't think he would really look further than that, as far as like.
Gotcha. I like it. I dig the idea that that's not even a thing he like scanned for. Like he was just like scanning your vital signs, but not trying to figure out
how old you were.
Yeah,
I like it.
I'm like, up until the point where I regain consciousness, I'm like not really breathing, or breathing at like 1 or 2 breaths per minute, like operating with like very minimal biological processes to keep like my physical body alive to whatever extent it needs to remain like active and alive, but I'm very, very much like in a state like akin to hibernation.
Perfect. All right.
It says, does that have the equivalent of Cadillac fins? Some old flourish they don't put on transhuman bodies anymore. I don't think anything's so overt, but yeah, I like the idea that there's.
I feel like the way they did my eyes is like not how they do eyes anymore.
Yeah.
And you can tell it's like they don't make eyes like that anymore.
Right. That's nice.
Is there a uncanny valley? Are they too perfect?
Yeah. Let's say that like my I think like I'm a little bit too symmetrical.
Yeah.
So like people aren't that symmetrical.
Right. Right.
And where you can see it the most is that I think most people's eyes have some sort of subtle size difference that you don't notice unless you're really tuned into it.
Yeah.
But my eyes are like exactly the same but mirrored, and that stands out about me.
That's totally the kind of thing you would never notice in somebody until you noticed it different, right? You'd never notice that people's eyes were slightly different sizes or had slightly different pigment until you see somebody who had two identical eyes. Then you're like, whoa.
That's kind of
What is
crazy.
that?
Yeah.
And we know who notices that first, right? It's like after we get you out of the vacuum, it's totally like Raven, like there's something wrong with his eyes. We don't even know what it means, right?
That's right. Right. Because it's a good thing for her, right?
You know, if Raven like couldn't articulate what was off and was like, I don't trust that guy because he has a weird face.
Yeah. Well, also found you in a vacuum, right? Like, there's this isn't just, you know, xenophobia or anything like that. I think there's some, yeah.
Found me in the vacuum, yeah.
Perfect. How do you want to spend the 3 days? There's room if you want some interaction or some things that you want to do, or we can just jump right into the Mars system and pick up there.
I like doing some interaction.
Yeah. Go for it.
I don't know, like maybe I wonder if there's a thing where it's like, I'm curious how long Dartha has been a captain. Like that, I don't know that I was really ready for her to be a captain, but I think it's interesting. Do you think she came here as? Did we lose our captain on that ship? On the
yes, that's perfect. Yes.
So I didn't think of Dartha as being a captain either, from what I know about the backstory.
No, that's perfect. Because we know we lost 2 crew members when we started.
Yeah, that's why no one was sitting in the chair, right? That's why you're like, go sit there, because it's like, well, that's safe, and it's kind of like Atlas, you know, just sit, you know, get out of the way for a moment, right? Like, well, we do this, but like obviously because no one else is gonna sit there,
right?
So Lieutenant Tyler was the captain.
Okay.
Cool.
Not for Lieutenant Tyler.
Yeah.
So I like the idea that there's, I don't know if maybe there's a little flashback thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not so much with Lieutenant Tyler necessarily, but it's kind of like we see there's a moment where Dartha is sitting there kind of in the captain's chair. And maybe this is right after we've escaped, right? So like we just went on this, you know, we jetted out of here. We're now, you know, there's like a little bit of downtime, like we're not under threat. And she, you know, she kind of turns and looks at Atlas, and he's sitting there in the, you know, in the captain's chair. And I kind of, I don't, what would Atlas be like? How would he be reacting to this? Being
I think that he has never seen a ship quite like this. But also because so much technology was lost, is not necessarily shaken by like technological capabilities of the present. If anything, they're kind of behind your members. So this is not really what he expected from the future.
You totally ask a question like, where's your this drive? And we're like, what?
Yeah, totally. I can't think of like what exactly I would be asking about, but I definitely asked something that's like, where's your whatever, and like you just have never heard of it.
Your quantum flux regulator, right? Like
Yeah.
as we're bouncing around against grav blades and we're having to do all this wild piloting and navigation, like why don't you just use the quantum flux regulator so you don't have to deal with all this nonsense, right? Like why are you doing this the hard way, right? I could totally see
Yeah.
I love that.
And it's also just really like a little uncomfortable being in the captain's chair, even though it is like a safe place to position himself, because he's like, these are people who barely know me, who at least one of them doesn't really trust me. Is it like going to cause conflict for me to be in this position? And
Okay, that's perfect. So
yeah.
Do you have more?
Oh, I'm curious about like Raven's reaction to me being in the captain's chair with how she's acted towards me thus far.
Yeah. I think stealing from the chat, I think Timothy, once everything settles out, at some point Timothy comes through and he's handing everybody coffee, right?
That's so sweet of him.
Right. Yeah, so he's giving everybody coffee. I don't know if Dartha drinks coffee or not, but he gives Dartha whatever, because I think you guys have worked together, right? So he hands her whatever, right, refreshment that
he calls it a coffee. He's like, here's your coffee, and like he stresses your.
It's clearly like a different color.
It's not. No, it's not a liquid. It's like a little like rock. And like I totally just like reach out and like I put one of my pseudopods around it. And I'm just like ingesting it through my skin or something.
Nice. He gets the Atlas and he's like, coffee?
Yeah, totally. Thank you. And I haven't had coffee in like 300 years. This is the best day of my life.
I think sorry, Dominic, I didn't interrupt.
No, go for it.
I think like Hope kind of pops out of the drive, right? The plugs come out because now we're on. We escaped the black hole, and now so she can sort of relax, and we're on more of an autopilot. And this is where I feel like she looks around and she looks at you, Atlas, and you get the sense that in some ways she feels just as alien to everybody here as you do, because this isn't her crew. Like she has just joined Fear, and all these people like traipsing around her ship and like taking all these roles, which are needed and important roles, but they're not the people who are assigned to them. And she like looks at like, Raven with like her feet up on the console and like remembers who was there, and she kind of looks at everybody. And so when Timothy's like doing the rounds, she's like, no, coffee doesn't work with the coffee disrupts the spike drive injections. I'll have migraines for hours, but maybe later, right? And that's a thing like he would know if he had been on this ship, right? Like
right.
I'm not like mad at him, but it's just like an indicator that like I just don't feel quite at ease yet with this new crew, because they haven't trained their whole lives to be on these ships. They haven't, this is a weird mining ship to them, and it's kind of my home. So it feels weird to have people just walking around in it, but I'm not gonna, so I just sort of look at Atlas like, it's weird.
I think I see your reaction and I'm like, yep.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah, I want to toast, but I don't have anything in my hand, so it's just like, shrug. Yeah. Right, the closest thing I can do.
Like, here's to being the new kid here.
Yeah, right.
Nice. I think Raven is indifferent, right? I think she's still very cautious of Atlas. I think she doesn't care that you're in the chair because it was never Fear's ship. And so Lieutenant Tyler, while he was captain, that wasn't his captain's chair.
Okay, so he doesn't have any like attachment to it.
Right.
I think that I would try to, I think that even though I would have the impulse to want to like befriend her or at least get her to not be scared of me, I do what I anticipate that she wants, which is just kind of also steer clear of her as well while we're on the ship together.
Okay.
Like, despite the impulse to try to like make her like me, I don't do that.
Okay. That's fair.
I think we should, just because of time, I think we should cut to arriving, even though I'd love to like play out. I feel like given our druthers, we could spend a whole session just playing it. Like,
right.
What happens? I feel like a lot of things happen, and maybe we can even flash back to them. But I kind of want to arrive at the station just so that we have that as like our capstone for the night.
Perfect.
Or we can play another 2 hours of this like.
Yeah, or we just play for another couple hours.
Can I do one little piece though? Will we have enough time to do like the arrival and everything?
Do it, yeah.
Yeah. So there's just one other little piece, which I think like once we're in safe zone, Dartha, I turn to you, Albus, right? And I'm like, I extend a pseudopod and I'm like, welcome to the crew of this ship.
That's the kindest thing anyone has ever done to me.
So there's a flashback there where we see a lithomorph like alien. A lithomorph alien, and they're on the ship, right? On another ship. It's not the same ship. This is a total flashback, right? And we hear that same voice of like, "Hi, I'm the captain. Welcome to the ship." And we hear the exact same voice. I mean, this is Dartha's voice, but we see a human hand come out and shake the hand of this little lithomorph. And we notice that the voice, this woman, like mature woman's voice, is coming out of a human, right? And this is the voice we've recognized as Dartha up till now, and is shaking the hand of this little blob alien. And the blob has an insignia on them, and it says Dartha. And we hear them respond to this woman, and it's like, "Thank you for welcoming me aboard." And like the voice is completely different. It's like kind of vibrating. It's kind of like this weird, like sounds kind of like a kid, kind of like a robot, kind of, it's just different.
Yeah.
But we see that exact scene, right?
Nice. Mirrors.
I shake Dartha's pod and thank her, tell her that it's good to be here. That's
nice.
So
very nice.
So I think we cut to Anastal. That's the planet, our home base in the Amar system. Anastal it's a mining planet. They dig up ores and metals to build the mining ships that you were flying on to go out and mine from the black hole. They export that power and those elements that they mine from the black hole. And we've talked about the two factions that are on Anastal. That's the planet. We're going to a orbital space station that is called Tarakan. That's where Fear has its headquarters at. It's a huge station, so there are other folks coming and going from the planet. There are off-worlders that come in system, and they'll go to the station first, sometimes then down to the planet. They're very strict about who goes down to the planet if you're an off-worlder. But Fear is on the station Tarakan, and that's what we cut to. You kind of coming into a landing bay. There's a docking crew that attaches different wires, cables to the ship as you guys disembark. They kind of.
Jay, should I pull up the Argus?
Yes.
Yeah. All right.
Cool.
Pull everybody to that. I'll sort of share this with stream. There we go. Oh, I have the panel up and stuff. There we go. So it should be in everyone's Roll20 now. This station.
Nice.
Very cool. Very clever.
That's our current home base.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say I like the idea of like people like crews coming on the ship, and like escorting us on, like that we're docked, we're able to get off. There's like some maintenance people who come on, but of course there's a concern. We have an extra crew member that we did not have before, right? And not everyone in Fear has all the different levels of authority and security level clearance and all that other kind of shit, right? So like I'm, looking at Atlas, they would question who this is, right? Who is this guy? But like also they may not be allowed to know, right? So right. I have this paperwork printed out, which is like it's your paperwork, Atlas. You are an asylum seeker now, from, and there's just like all this garbage thrown in there, whatever war, this conflict, between these two powers, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
Right. But it's enough to get us through like whatever the preliminary kind of deboarding situation is.
I like the idea that there's some.
Do you have that I'm seeking asylum as part of like a different ongoing war elsewhere in the sector, or as part of like this ongoing Cold War?
I guess the ongoing Cold War would be like that'd be my first inclination, but I'm open.
Okay. I'm good with either. I was just curious.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that seems most obvious because everyone knows that that's happening between those two factions.
Yeah, I dig the notion that somebody has like some comm pad and you kind of wave, your padding at them, and then like this image of Atlas comes up and it's got like, asylum, refugee, right? And asylum seeker or something like that.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So the station itself, different sections of it are given different autonomy. Some parts of it, the citizens and the government of NS Tull, the planet, have jurisdiction over. Some parts of it they do not, right? That's going to become important to Hope right now as you're getting off of the ship.
You say like that's going to become important, and I'm like, in a while? Right now.
As you come off the ship, the hangar bays, for the most part, are all kind of like open seas, right? Open territory, right?
Yeah.
But they're also kind of neutral zones, right? You just can't do whatever, right? No one's going to get extradited from a hangar bay, right?
Right.
But you can be approached. And what's happening is there's a man and he's got a 3-person entourage, and they're dressed in the clothing and the custom of Eardos officials. And he's got his standard like little red zipper folder thing, and he's making a beeline straight to Hope. And then he says to Hope, I'm Inspector Vance. You have a buyback that I'm here for. I'm the collector. If you're just going to leave, right, I need you to pay this buyback because you owe us. When can we expect this payment from you?
And does he hand me like a compad or something like that to tell me what this is about, or do I just sort of like assume that he's talking about the ship itself?
Yes, so he does. He's pulling out some official data stuff to hand over to you, kind of like a summons, right?
Right.
Plus all the auditing stuff, right? He's handing all that data to you. So what happens is in Eardos, they're a faction on the planet NS Tull. They're a big metal and mining operation. They use precogs to make pilots, but what they do is, for the cost of training pilots, they start this thing that they call a buyback, right? You owe them this amount of money, credits, resources, for this training that they're giving you, right? And when you pay that off, you no longer, you become independent, a freelancer.
Oh, I see. So he is saying that I owe money on account of my training, which I didn't have an entire complete decision about. But yeah, okay. But he's not referencing the ship. He's not like, you stole the...
Yeah, no, he's adding the ship into your buyback.
Okay, got it.
He's adding this process now because you've now I have to come out here and the cost for us to do this kind of thing. That is also a line item on this buyback.
Yeah.
It's a big number. I don't have the number, but I will before we play again.
I'm sure it's a huge. I'm sure it's a huge number. I mean, it's on the scale of numbers that can't be an individual can't really acquire.
Right.
Is it on a scale that I could expense?
No, I think it's
no.
I think it's like for us, I would say it's probably in the millions is my guess.
Okay.
Right.
Like it's that's just like an Earth term. Like I don't know what the credit units here are, but like I feel like between the ship and my precog program, drugs, training, etc., I'm kind of surprised that they're as just like cavalier about this and not being
Right.
like, you know, we're gonna take this shit back. So Hope is like,
Right.
when she first sees him, she's extremely tense. And then when he's just like, yeah, you know, what are the terms of your buyback? I think she like takes his compad and like is like flicking through, and I imagine there's like options like pay lump sum, you know,
Right.
pay it off with stupid amounts of interest, you know, right? This is how you make somebody be in permanent debt, right? Because there's just no way they can do it.
Right.
And I mean, all of these numbers. What's that?
No, go ahead. You're on the right track.
Yeah, and like all of these numbers are just impossible. Like she hasn't even worked out with Fear what she didn't come to Fear and be like, I want a job, give me an income. So to her knowledge, like they have so far taken care of her and she's had the things she needed, but she hasn't really like negotiated a wage. So she's sort of like thumbing through it and like doesn't see anything that seems remotely viable. But basically, like, I'm gonna pick the option that's like, yeah, come back in 30 days, and you know, and I'll have your money for you, right? Like, okay, right? Like it's
20% interest.
Yeah, exactly, with stupid interest and like. So she sort of like looks at this. She's like, "Wow, these are some very attractive. These are some very comprehensive offers you have going on there." Yeah, and I think she just like hands it back to him, and she's like, "Yeah, put it on my tab." Like essentially, like charge me interest, and I'll have to owe you in the future. I think she literally has like 25 credits, right? Like it's like.
Right.
It's like she has like 13 pennies and she owes $15 million, right? Like it's just insane. It's just ridiculous the amount that she owes. So
right.
Yeah. So I just will he accept that? Do you want me to make like a talk roll? I mean,
no. Because I think there's a game happening, right? Know, and he knows nobody's getting that money, right? And this isn't really about the money, right?
Oh, okay.
So,
cool.
Right. So he takes it back like, yeah, sure. Oh, that's perfect. Excellent. And then he says,
we'll get your first payment started. You get your first payment plan started. Yeah.
Right. And then he says, will you be staying here on the station?
She knows that she will be, but she doesn't want to be easily found. So she's like, you said that this station is very particular about who gets to come on and off it.
That's correct.
Yeah, I'm like, no, I'm just refueling.
How can I get in touch with you in 30 days?
Oh, I mean, I'll drop it in the mail.
I see.
Do I get a sense of what he wants? Like, does he want a way to find me, or does he want something else? Like,
yeah, he actually wants a way to be able to. He wants to know where. If it's up to him, he wants to know where you are 24/7.
Yeah.
Because they're not just going to let you walk away.
Oh, right. I don't expect to be able to walk away, but I do feel like Hope is sweating here, feeling like she needs to find a way to, like, she needs to find a response, right? Like,
right.
She needs some kind of. She was at first expecting, dudes with guns and just forcibly taking it. So this is better, but it's still like, oh, great, it's the devil versus this devil that she doesn't know. And she doesn't know how to deal with bureaucracy at all. So, yeah, I think she's like, yeah, I mean.
Are you open to Dartha speaking up at this point?
Sean is, Hope isn't. So I think Hope is like, stay out of it. Don't get involved. You definitely get the like don't get in the middle of this. It's bad enough as is vibes. But if like, she is clearly sweating and doesn't have a good answer, and she's about to say like, yeah, I'll be here, but like, doesn't.
I think, definitely like there was that moment where Dartha was hanging back because that's what you were saying. But like, I'm noticing like the strain, like I'm smelling the sweat off your body. Like all of that, right?
Right.
And there's that moment where, you're about to kind of capitulate and say something. And we see like this person has got like their little data pad or whatever, right? and we see this kind of like little pseudopod go over the top of it and like drop a business card of some variety, whatever a future tech business card looks like. Maybe it just pops up on the data pad, right?
Right.
But it says, like, she'll be staying with us, and you can get in touch with me. And it has information there, but we can see it's not the right information exactly.
Right.
Like my name is a little bit off. There's a bunch of digits, so we don't know if they're right or wrong or whatever. But I just say, you can come in touch with us. And it does have a designation for like some highfalutin office. I mean, it's a bureaucratic office. It's not anything fancy, but it's kind of like walking around with those, like a little badge or plates, special plates or something, like as a government.
I guess my question is like, how public is is FEAR, right? Like, is it like a
right.
well-known organization that we can just be like, yeah, we work with FEAR, that's normal? Or is it like, this is a super secret organization that, and if it's super secret, does it have a front? Because if it has a front, then maybe that's what Dartha would give.
You tell me, Dartha, because you've been there the longest.
So I think everybody's heard of FEAR, right? This group, and it's like, oh, and they have even like a little office here down this hallway, but it's always closed, or sometimes there's like one administrator in there. That's like the entire, it's supposed to be a big thing that it's here at the station, but it's like this tiny little cubicle office and nothing else. But there's, other contractors and stuff around the office. And so FEAR does not work out exactly in the open. There is a place to lodge concerns. There's a place to try to get in touch with people, all that kind of stuff. Maybe that's where you went originally to try to get attention, Hope, right?
Yeah. I can imagine me like looking at some security camera being like, don't you want to know what's going on? Yeah.
But like, I think you'd be hard pressed to find more than 1 or 2 employees of FEAR officially on this station, even though there's like, dozens of people running around working for different organizations that actually work for FEAR.
This feels like the way corporation, like a shell company, where there's
absolutely
an office, it's empty. There's a placard on the wall, on the door, and that's about it.
Right.
And there's a giant pile of mail that nobody ever reads.
Nobody ever reads.
Yeah,
that's perfect.
So it seems to me like you'd give that information, right? It's legit, it's honest, it's not like it's forged, but it's just.
It's legit. It just has nothing about FEAR on it, right? It's like
Yeah. Here's the address, and it's some business park address. Thanks, J to Z, for the sub. Appreciate it.
I think he takes it, right, and he kind of opens up that data slate where all of your audit stuff is, and he says, "I'll add that you have counsel," and he annotates that on there. And
did he give me his name? Did he say who he was?
Yes, Inspector Vance.
Inspector Vance, he did say that, and I don't know him, right? I should have asked this before, but I've never met this guy before. Or have I? Do I?
Let's make a wisdom check.
Okay,
I'm open to it.
Because it just occurred to me, I was like, maybe I'm not as. I mean, this is perfect. I'm not going to change any of that, but maybe I'm not quite as a fish out of water with this guy. If I
right.
And maybe it's also just coming back to me. So, wisdom check. How do I roll a stat check? Wisdom roll. Wisdom thing. Click the thing, but the thing anything. Don't have any button for making a wisdom check, so I'll just roll it and roll the chat. Roll 2d6 plus my wisdom modifier is 1.
Yes.
All right, I got a 7.
All right. You needed an 8, but yes, you're aware of the whole buyback program. You know that there are inspectors. Their primary job is collection on these buybacks.
Yeah.
You also know that when you've never heard of a buyback actually happening, what ends up happening is they get bounty hunters to go get whoever owes and isn't paying or it hasn't worked anything out and bring them back to Eardos.
Yeah. So this is just the polite step that they do to sort of save face. This is civility working to save as this is the civilized front of the brute force attack that they're going to make later on, right? Like this is
Right.
this is the
Absolutely.
preliminary steps before they take me to collections, which is send a bounty hunter. Got it.
Send a bounty hunter, yes. And this is because, and we talked about this during the setup.
Yeah.
The Cold War is about the precogs, right? You have these two factions that they both want to use the precogs, and there's not enough of them, right? Anastal has a higher percentage of them than anywhere else, but there's not enough of them to go around, and that's what the fight is about. Is
on the bill, because
Mhm.
I think I would like this. What are they charging me more for? My precog conditioning, genetic engineering training, or the ship? Like, what do they value as greater?
I would say you are 2 times the ship.
Okay, wow,
Right?
that's
At least 2
that's
times the
ridiculous.
Ship, right?
I love it.
Right, and exactly, that's ridiculous, right? Because they didn't make you a precog; they
Right.
just trained your abilities to what they needed you to be able to do.
Yeah.
Right. But yes, it is ridiculous.
Nice.
You know this. Inspector Vance knows this. This
Yeah.
is the dance.
Yep, this is the dance, and so far, he is definitely leading.
But they back off, and like you said, this is kind of the preliminary civility step.
Yeah, the moment, and we can certainly cut to other scenes, but I want this session to try and make this fix roll or get on the pilot. But the moment he leaves, I'm like, damn it, I knew that transponder wasn't broken.
That's right.
And you freaking see me in a vac suit on top of the hull of the ship, on top of the hull of the ship, literally like with an arc welder, like sawing this fucking transponder off, right? So that like they can't track me anymore. And we can.
No, you do that. You don't need a roll for that.
Okay.
Pilot is your background. You know this ship, right?
Yeah.
This is something you can easily do, right?
Yeah. I think I
And
disabled
you have the
it
time.
internally, and I was like, cool, the transponder's turned off, and it totally did nothing. It was like, yeah,
Right.
it's off. So I'm like, okay, now I know what to do. You're like, now, yeah. So
I got to cut this off.
there's the welding
Nice.
mask version of the vac suit and me.
Back suit, I imagine the back suit has like different faceplate attachments for different circumstances.
Yeah, totally.
And you like pop off the clear faceplate and put on like the welding mask faceplate.
Absolutely.
I think we cut to some time later. Maybe there's, as they're leaving, Dr. Long, who put together this mission, talks about having a debrief in an hour or two once everybody has settled down and everything. And everyone knows where the conference room is to meet, to have this debriefing.
Cool.
But he seems scatterbrained and he's in a hurry. He doesn't even recognize that Atlas is part of the crew. There's a new crew member. And he doesn't seem concerned that you're down 2 crew members, right? Before he's off.
When I read that something is off about him, would I be able to tell something's wrong?
I will let you make, I think, because I don't think there's a skill for that. Oh, yeah,
Mental save, or maybe there's I don't know, there's like talk or connect, maybe. Connect is more about people though.
Yeah, that's more like circles. I was looking at notice, but that seems to be more about environment. But I think, again, for you, I think it's a wisdom save, a wisdom check.
The key command is R/ and the dice roll, right?
/R.
/R.
/R space and the die roll. Sorry.
Okay. 6.
All right. You also needed an 8, but I think you can tell he's distracted, right?
Okay.
In a I got stuff to do human kind of way.
I feel like because Dartha is like the person on the ship that I'm the closest to at this point, I kind of like passing comment of like, what's up with that guy? Like, what's his deal?
Nice.
Yeah, do I, what do I know?
Dr. Long has a lot of projects on his plate, and he doesn't share them with everybody. Even with Dartha. I think that this could just be him running off to look at another project.
Right.
Usually after missions come in, it's usually some amount of time, right? And then he wants a debrief about what happened, what everyone did, what's going on, what's good, what's bad. He's good about that. And it's usually some amount of time after you've come back. So folks can decompress, get goods or whatever. So he's considerate, but he looks like he's got something else on his plate to do right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's totally not about the crew or anything like that. He's got something else on his mind.
Yeah. I think I stop him for a second and I'm like, Dr. Long, I just lost somebody very close to me. And it sounds kind of weird, like unprofessional almost,
Right,
but
right.
But that's what I'm saying to him. And I'm gonna need a replacement, maybe 2 of my people. But then I kind of like look around, like we don't know what this means, but like I look around and I look over, one shoulder, and there's Atlas, and he just asked, like, what's up with this guy, right?
Right.
And I kind of look over, like, Hope, are you around in this area?
I think I made it to the debriefing late, and I'm covered in like grease and like welding burns, and so like I think I'm like coming in like as he's leaving, and I'm like confused because normally these debriefs would take a while, and like he's about to head out, and I'm like, what? I wasn't that late, was I? Right? Like I'm in there, but now I'm surprised that it seems like it's ending before it even started.
So I think I start with him and I'm like, hey, I just lost somebody very close to me. And I'm actually talking about Timothy, the captain, right? Sorry, not Timothy. What was the captain's name?
Tyler. Lieutenant Tyler, yeah.
And I wasn't that close to Timothy, let me be honest. So, but, and I'm like, I'm going to need some replacements, maybe 2 of my people. But then I kind of like look over and see these 2, and I'm like, maybe just 1 for the short term. And we don't really know exactly what that means. Like some of my people, like, am I talking about other lithomorphs? Am I talking about like crew members or something, or like what?
Right.
But I'm talking like kind of vulnerably. It doesn't sound like I'm talking as a fellow professional. I'm talking like somebody who just lost a really close friend. Right. I don't know what's his response. I don't know.
Yeah, I think he stops, right? I think he's jarred out of what was on his mind, right? And he wants to do the right thing right now, right? And he says, hey, we'll cover all that. I'm sorry that you lost folks. I am. Can we do all this in an hour or 2? And I'll make it right to the best of my ability.
And I just kind of like nod, however a blob knobs.
Right. So he does. He hears you,
Bob.
And I think at that point he does recognize Atlas being new, right? And he's got a quizzical look on his face, right? And then he remembers, I got to go do this thing, right? And then he heads out. I'm gonna hard cut to, because I got 2 things I want to do, and we can move around in time. So Fear has several locations on the station, right? That are maybe not secret, but they're certainly not public, right? They're somewhere in that space between, right?
Unlisted.
Yes, unlisted. Some of them are lodging. So I think we see Dartha kind of get some lodging for Atlas, right? Because Atlas can't go to the lodging area where Dartha is, right? So I think for the aliens that are on station with Fear, it's kind of a safe space, right, for them, right? And Dartha goes there, right? And it's kind of a common area. And when Dartha gets there, right, there's a kind of a lizard, kind of like a cricket type alien, bipedal. Maybe it's got 6 arms, right? Just in all its raw, naked, cricket-like form, right? And and it's all chittery when it sees Dartha. That it's happy that Dartha made it back. It wants to know, did you find it? What'd you see there? What'd you bring back? And it's talking a mile a minute, right?
Yeah.
And then this kind of rolling, think R2D2, but without the dome part, right? Maybe it's kind of got a lip area in it, and there's a orb. It's kind of organic, but it looks like it also might be a metal-ish kind of thing, and it's kind of hovering in that lip area. But the base is kind of carrying it around, and it kind of rolls itself in to join the conversation. The voice on that thing is kind of modulated, where the cricket has a voice, right? And they both are expressing happiness that you've returned.
I am so 100% digging this little family reunion here.
This is very cool. I love these creatures, these people.
What do you call the cricket, alien?
Hmm.
And it's tall. I want to say it might be taller than 6 feet, but it's super thin, right? And it's all in its shell kind of thing.
Getting a very Thri-Kreen vibe, right? Like
Yeah.
it could probably like extend itself
right.
up to 7 feet tall, or it could like hunch itself way down, you know. And
Right.
Let's just go with Clack.
Okay, I like it.
strong name.
That is a strong name. Yeah, and Clack is asking questions a mile a minute.
Yeah. And I think there's this part where, you know, like we see me looking at all these questions, and we just saw that I had some like emotional response somewhere back there, right, in the last scene. And I think I just go up and kind of like hug him, you know, hug Clack. Like I'm not answering any questions. There's just this kind of like very close,
right.
You know, what would approximate a hug, you know,
right.
kind of thing. And I'm just quiet. By the way, the other alien or, you know, creature,
right,
is named Sinclair.
Sinclair, I like it. That's better than what I was going to pick. Yes. So Sinclair, in its modulated voice, asks, "What did you find?" It's very direct.
Yeah. I think I go full bore, like honesty. Like we haven't seen where I'm supposed to like report confidential information and not confidential information,
right.
like
right.
who's really in charge or whatever
right.
fear is. But all of a sudden I'm like, yeah, we picked up this what is a human android, right? We picked up this android. I think it's a full AI. I think it came from a couple of 100 years ago. That was pre-tech, and I'm just like blabbing like a bunch of like, I don't sound like this professional working in my group anymore. I'm just like talking with friends at the coffee shop about all this weird gossip bullshit that happened, and I'm just like blabbing about our mission and like, oh, and you know, this person who's left, you know, Hope you defected or something, basically, right?
Yeah, Hope defected. Yeah.
And I mentioned Hope, and they're like, wait, which one is that? And I'm like, oh, the defector. And I'm just like talking about all this stuff, which sounds like it should be confidential, but we don't.
right.
And out of clarity, Dominique, is Atlas with Dartha right now, or are you?
No, I'm in my own logic.
Okay, got it. So Dartha, she's just gabbing with her pals, with her friends. Yeah. I love it.
Right.
Somewhere else, not sleeping, because I just slept for several hundred years.
Yeah.
Tired of sleeping.
I think when Dartha drops Atlas off in Atlas's lodgings, maybe you're checking the room out, looking it over, getting a feel for it, and a broadcast, much like the one from the old station, comes in, because I'm assuming you're wired up for that. You can get that.
Yeah.
But this one comes with a visual display in front of you. It kind of materializes like a hologram, right? It's a female hologram, and she introduces herself as Voya, and she welcomes you to the Tarak station, and she's kind of at your service for whatever you need and wants to help you enjoy your stay since you're a long way from the Hades kennel, Cerberus 03.
Yeah, I want to ask for if there's any. I guess I wouldn't have to read a physical book to learn things. I could just have data like downloaded to myself.
Yeah.
So I'd want to ask, like, is there like an ebook that's like a summary of all the history I missed?
Of the
And
last
could I
600
just
years.
download it and internalize that information and try to get a bit caught up to speed? And I also imagine that in the process of doing so, I'll become like the AI equivalent of just very overwhelmed and might have to go sit down for a little bit
Nice.
while I
I
catch
think
on the rest of human history.
Nice. I think that's where we leave it. We see, as we pan out, we see Hope working on the ship, getting the transponder off, getting the wires out, checking it over to make sure there are no other trackers on it. I think we see Dartha in a little alien reunion, sharing information that she's not sure she should be sharing or not.
I think the audience isn't sure. Like, she seems to be like, whatever.
Yeah, the audience, that's forward. Yeah.
And Atlas, I think we see Atlas interacting, right, with this display of all this history, catching up on what he's missed.
I like the idea that's like just drinking from a font, but like just drinking from a fire hose. You're like, whoa, like that's just
Yeah.
cool. So should we wrap the session? Should we do XP, like
yes,
XP and wrap up?
Yes. So XP is 1 point for short-term goals, right? 1 XP for short-term goals, character goals. 2, I think, for long-term goals, or is it 3?
I think it's 3 for long-term goals.
All right. And then for the crew goal, which was to escape the station, I don't remember how much the crew XP was. That's what I'm tracking down.
I think the normal that it's supposed to sort of like hover around is 3 per session. Like that's the typical thing. So
right.
With the idea that long-term goals, for a person to accomplish long-term goals, it's like a big deal. Like it's not going to happen very often. So my inclination would be to say crew goals are worth 2, personal goals are worth 1 for short-term and 3 for long-term, because then you're most of the time going to get 3.
3, right?
Sometimes going to get 5, but it's pretty darn rare.
I like that.
Can I say, by the way, as a player, how excited I am to actually be playing in a game where I get XP? I can't remember the last time I did this. It's hilarious. I love it.
Nice. Yeah. So let's see. I'll pull up all the sheets.
All right. So everybody certainly gets 2 for escaping the station.
Yep.
Yay.
And then I don't think we talked about our long-term and our short-term goals. We meant to. We were talking about that before.
Right.
But Tomes, I mean, feel free to retcon it, I think, if you want.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Do you have idea for your long and short-term goals for Dartha?
Yeah, I think definitely like a short-term goal might be to find another, maybe to verify your psychic ability.
Yeah. That makes total sense. Which I think you could say you accomplished.
Sure.
Right.
Long-term goals, I think, is to let's go with a long-term goal being to replace my close social connections that are required for my mental stability. Right? Like as this species, I need to be surrounded by a certain amount of people that I feel very communal with. That's how my species behaves on their planet. Now that I'm here in this crew and I just lost this very important person to me, like I need to shore that up or it's not good. Does that sound like a long-term goal? It's kind of weird. Is it okay?
I think it does. So, who is close to you right now? And because let's put some metrics on it. That way, we know when you hit it. How many people do you need, and who do you have now?
Oh, I think I need these two because they'll be newer, right? So
Right,
these two,
right.
meaning Atlas and Hope, right? Like I'll actually need to feel close to them to replace that loss. And right now, I think there's kind of like a couple of NPC characters, and you can tell like when I go to the alien station, I'm close to them. That's where I'm shoring up some of my need, but I need more.
Right. I'm adding Timothy and Raven to that mix.
Sure, that sounds rad. I love
it.
Perfect. So that grants. So of your short-term goal, I would love to like later have a conversation, like have more. Even though you've done it, like you've verified it, there still might be more in terms of like probing your questions. I think it'd be fun to talk about that kind of stuff. But that puts you at 3 XP, which makes you second level.
Yes.
So you get all the things you get for second level.
Yes.
Atlas, what do you think your short-term and long-term goals?
I know my long-term goal is to learn more about the circumstances of my creation and sort of develop some closure in my relationship with my creator, because I was asleep for so long that everyone that I knew in my previous life is now probably dead. I think if I were to retcon a short-term goal, it would be to return to consciousness, get off of the station that I was stranded on, and sort of get caught up on what I missed. Which, because I'm retconning it, is exactly what I did.
Right. No, that's perfect.
Okay, I'm putting this in our goals on our sheets just so that the folks watching at home can see. Caught up. And so that puts you at 3 as well, and and gives you level 2. Cool.
Perfect.
The leveling in this game, as I understand it, is that it's supposed to be pretty fast in the beginning and then it tapers off. So like we'll get to level 3 or 4 pretty quick, and then might not go much past that. But like that gives us the ability to round out some of our skills and things like that. All right, my short-term goal was to disable tracking on Squidly.
Yes.
And I thought every time we ran into someone, I thought it was Eardos catching up with us. Like the first people who were the green tunic folks, like that must have been Eardos. And then the people on the other side of the door, that must have been Eardos. So I don't know how much it came out when I was like, you don't sound like you're from Eardos. Like she just assumed it every time. And then when it was like, oh, if they finally aren't tracking her, then she gets caught by some bureaucratic douche nozzle. It's like, that's the worst. She thought it was going to be a shootout or a capture, and no, it's some asshole with a clipboard. So I really love that that's the thing that prompted her to get up there with the welder.
Nice.
So that's our short-term goal. My long-term goal, I might change this because it feels very personal to her, and it's not connected to the rest of the crew very much. But right now my long-term goal is to free the other well hoppers. The other folks that are essentially indentured at the moment, and in some cases me. And I think that's a cool idea, but we'll talk about it offline because I feel like that might also pull away from the group, right? I don't want to tell like my little story, so we'll see how much that matters to other people. But for now, I'm gonna take 3 XP and go and level as well.
Nice. So everyone's level 2 now.
Yes.
Awesome.
I have a question.
I like it,
but I think I can offline it.
Yeah, go for it. I mean, we're wrapping up, but like I'm happy to talk about.
If I put that I'm level 2 on my character sheet, does it automatically give me the like second level advancements?
Mm-hmm. I think it does. I just did it, and it changed my minimum XP to 6. It did not give me unspent skill points though, so I think it does some things. I think it gets your attack bonus and stuff like that, but I don't think it. I don't know how much it does automatically. So I have to.
Cool. Thank you.
Play with that. Yeah, no problem. All right, let's. Thanks everybody for hanging out with the chat. Let's do our wrap. Oh darn it! I thought I was displaying all that to chat. Sorry folks, I had a Roll20 up, but we talked it through, so you got to hear about it. I'm Sean. I use he, him pronouns. I am a regular streamer on this channel. I'm very excited to be playing with these wonderful folks. It's super super cool. This first session was a blast. I'm looking forward to doing more of it. I'm gonna be playing just a whole bunch of games. On Sunday we'll be playing Scum and Villainy because I can't obviously get enough sci-fi, and on Sunday night, because one game wasn't enough, we're going to be adding Jammy's game, Balak Bayan. I'm probably mispronouncing that. I apologize. But
Alec Bayan, you got it.
Balak Bayan, great. We'll be playing a cyberpunk game where the spirits have sort of returned, and we were trying to reconnect with them. So many games. And thank you. Need more loot? I will make a Twitch schedule to that account. So I'm excited for all of this. How about you, Dominique?
I'm Dominique. I use they, them pronouns. I'm a newbie streamer and really heckin' excited to be here. And things I'm excited for in my everyday life, that's what's next.
Yeah.
Okay. I am working on a narrative RPG about the criminal justice system and looking for playtesters. Hit me up at DomNestDicky on Twitter.
Nice.
I'm really pumped about that. Yeah.
Didn't you also just release a sweet
sci-fi
module yourself?
I'm bad at self-promo. I recently had
That's why I'm here.
A sci-fi adventure come out with Monty Cook Games. You can find that at montycookgames.com. It's called Heist on Miracle 4, and it is a heist on the space station. I think that's all I have to self-promo. If I'm missing anything, just DominiqueDickey.com. It's all there.
Nice. Cool. How about you, Tomes?
Tomer Grants, Tomes, he, him. I first of all, I just had a blast because all I really wanted to do, like other than playing with you guys, because all of you are fantastic, I just wanted to play a blob, and I got to do that so much. So thank you.
You blobbed it up so well, Tomes.
Otherwise, things that I do, I mean, I used to play a lot more games than I have recently. I've been taking a little bit of like a chilled out, introverted, oh, wow, there's a pandemic kind of break from some games. Yeah. But I will plug Story Games Glendale. So Story Games Glendale is one of the communities that I play a big part in. And it used to be very LA based in Los Angeles because, Meetup is like an in-person thing. But look, like we meet online now. So we do bi-weekly indie RPG nights, which is like games on demand. And we've started, my partner Jay and our friend Christian started an RPG makers meetup. So on the other Tuesdays, we meet up with a bunch of RPG designers and do like lean coffee and some play testing and things like that. So if you're interested in joining Story Games Glendale, meetup.com, look that up, you'll figure it out.
Yeah. And finally, our illustrious GM. How about you, Jay?
I'm good. I had to swap out my Bluetooth. It died 4 hours. But I'm good. I'm Matt J. Jamal Brown. You can find me on Twitter at MattJ0. I'm the host of the Diceology podcast. We're in our second season, or I'm in my second season. I don't know why I say we. And it's been a blast. It's been fun. This has been awesome too. So I'm glad we decided to do this. I like sci-fi games, and I wanted to check out the revised version of Stars Without Numbers, and I think we're off to an awesome start. So thank you.
Yeah, I can't agree more. I'm gonna vamp for a second while I try to find the link to Diceology. There it is. Put it in chat. Okay, cool. Everybody's links are in. So we're gonna head out. I realized I made an omission at the beginning of this, and I'm gonna squeeze it in now, which is to say that as a channel initiative, all the funds that we are getting are going to split between the Trans Legal Defense Fund and Black Lives Matter. So if you would like the show and you want to support us, or you want to do things to help the world, there's lots and lots of ways you can do that. But some of those would be to donate to either of those causes, or if you want to subscribe to us, all of our funds are being split there. So any way you do that, great. I'll put links in chat. We really appreciate. We have a lot of wonderful people here, and we really appreciate everyone trying to help in whatever we can to make this world a little less terrible, including playing games together. So, yeah, I think that's all. Good night, friends. Good night, all.
Night.
Bye, y'all.